If you have a lone gerbil and want to give it a cage mate, then using the split cage method to introduce them is necessary. Placing two unfamiliar gerbils into a cage together can lead to fighting and one or both of the gerbils may get seriously injured. The split cage method is a safe, easy way to give your gerbils a chance to get to know each other. This will increase the chances that the gerbils will get along and become lifelong friends. So, we are going to watch about the how to split cage a gerbil.
Method 1. Setting up the split cage.
First is add a split cage insert to your gerbil enclosure. You can purchase a split cage insert in a pet store and put it into your existing cage. Make sure to purchase a split cage insert that will fit your gerbil's enclosure. Check the measurements on the cage before you go to the store. Choose a glass or plastic aquarium and not a wire bottom cage. Wire bottom cages pose hazards to gerbils since their feet can get caught and injured. Do not divide a cage that is less than a 10 US gal. 38L for 2 gerbils. If the enclosure you have is smaller than this, you will need to get a new one. Step 2. Stock both sides of the enclosure with the bare necessities. Place 2 in, 5.1 centimeters of bedding, a dish of food, and a bottle of water into both sides of the cage. These are the only items your gerbils absolutely need. So only put these items into each gerbil side of the enclosure. Feed each gerbil a gerbil mix that contains pellets, seeds, grains, and dried veggies. You can also give your gerbils a few bite-sized fresh veggie or fruit pieces daily, such as broccoli, carrots, bananas, or apples. Choose water bottles that you can hang from the sides of the enclosure and replenish them daily. Shredded newspaper or paper towels are the best type of bedding for gerbils. Never use wood shavings of any kind in a gerbil's enclosure. Finally, leave out toys and other items that might cause a fight. While the gerbils are getting to know each other, don't place any toys, wheels, or other items that one of the gerbils might try to claim. This will increase the likelihood that one or both will become territorial and they will be less likely to accept each other. Provide each of the gerbils with a new food bowl and hiding spot to prevent them from being territorial over their old ones.
Method 2. Swapping and observing the gerbils.
First is place one gerbil on each side of the cage. When you have the enclosure all set up, put one gerbil on one side and the other gerbil on the other side. Do this with one gerbil in each hand so that your scent will be on both of them at the same time. Putting the gerbils into the enclosure at the same time is also important so that one gerbil does not see the other as invading its space.
Step 2. Swap the gerbils 3 times daily.
Pick up both gerbils at the same time and put them on each other's sides. This allows the gerbils to get familiar with each other's scents. Do this 3 times per day so that the gerbils will sleep on a different side of the cage each night. This will help to reduce the chances of the gerbils becoming territorial. Make sure to scoop up waste and soiled bedding daily to keep your gerbil's enclosure clean. Do not add any new items or bedding while the gerbils are getting to know each other. It is important to keep the same smells and avoid introducing items that they might fight over. Finally, watch for signs that the gerbils are starting to get along. Before you decide to remove the partition and introduce the gerbils to each other, check to see if they are getting along. This will help to ensure that the gerbils are ready to meet and reduce the chances of a fight. Some good signs include sleeping next to each other by the partition, sleeping in the other gerbil's usual sleeping spot, grooming each other through the partition, no longer marking the other gerbil side when you swap them.
Method 3. Introducing the gerbils.
First is put on a pair of thick leather gloves. You may need to separate the gerbils if they start fighting and they may try to bite you in confusion. To protect yourself, put on a thick pair of leather gloves, such as work gloves or gardening gloves. Plan to leave the gloves on for the next 30 minutes while you are observing the gerbils.
Step 2. Remove the partition between the gerbils.
When you are ready, grasp the partition and pull it straight up and out of the cage. Set it aside, but keep it nearby in case you need to separate the gerbils again. If you are unsure if the gerbils will get along, then you might only raise the partition 4 to 6 in, 10 to 15 centimeters. and hold on to it with one hand. That way, if the gerbils start fighting immediately, it will be easy for you to slide the partition back down and separate the gerbils. Step 3. Look for normal behaviors and signs the gerbils are getting along. Although some behaviors may seem aggressive, they are actually quite normal. Some things you might notice the gerbils doing include chasing each other briefly, squeaking, wrestling, mounting, or tackling each other, sniffing each other, boxing each other while standing on their hind legs. Step 4. Watch for signs of aggression for the next half hour. Plan to sit right next to the cage and observe the gerbils for at least 30 minutes. Keep your gloves on so you are ready if you need to intervene quickly. Separate the gerbils immediately if you notice that they are fighting so badly they draw blood, curling up into a tight ball together while fighting, pursuing each other gerbil relentlessly without eating, drinking, or digging. Step 5. Leave the partition out if the gerbils are getting along. Continue to check on them regularly over the next 24 hours. Once the gerbils take a nap together, chances are they are bonded and you will not have to worry about them. If the gerbils seem to be getting along and you are going to keep the partition out overnight, put your gerbils cage into your bedroom. This way you will hear them if they start fighting in the night and you can separate them before they hurt each other. Finally, replace the partition if they don't get along and try again in a few weeks. If you notice any signs of aggression, separate the gerbils immediately. Put the partition back into the cage to keep them apart and restart the process of waiting and watching. It may take 3 weeks or longer before the gerbils will be ready for a second introduction. Only attempt a second introduction if the gerbils show signs of getting along. If they do not show signs of getting along, then you may need to house the gerbils separately.
We hope it is useful to you. Please subscribe to our channel to upskill yourself.